All right, take two. Trying to figure this thing out. No worries. Thanks anyone who is rocking with me right now, trying to figure this one out. You know what I'm saying? Got to send this out to some people. New link. Let's delete this one. All right. We are gonna start over because hopefully this stream is a little better. So I'm gonna see how this one is. See how this one's going. All right. Okay, I think this one's better. I'm gonna go ahead and get going again. All right. So we're on the dollar, and let's go ahead and get the chat out just in case. Pop the chat, and we will, if I got to go back to that, I can. So I got the chat over here, and I'll have to toggle through, and I'll check back on the chat every now and then, but I got it set up over here. So if anyone's got anything to say, I will come back to the chat. It's down there. Okay, so we're looking at the DXY first. And you know, it's really simple with the dollar where we're at right now. It is in an area right here at this basically this 101. I have it marked off at 100.93. That's an area in the past where there was a lot of volume. And then if it doesn't stop there, we have another area down here at 99.86 of high volume. So here's what I'm looking at on the dollar, right? It's in a range, pretty sideways. It's a reversal pattern or it's a continuation pattern. And what I think is going to happen, one or two things, okay? We're either going to get this breakout into this next area of volume at 102.97, basically 103, okay, where there was a lot of price action. Or we are going to get a break through here into 101 area, and then a rejection. So I want to see this happen very bad. This is like a Wyckoff accumulation schematic. And if we could see a spring and then a test back up, that is basically everything we need to know, telling us that the dollar's getting ready to move to the upside. So we're being very patient. You can see on the weekly, it is starting to give possible rejection in an area where it rejected in the past. So that's something very interesting to note. This is, I think, a 200-week moving average. So we're going to go ahead and put this just on the 200 moving average on all the charts. On the daily, we haven't quite yet put in any bullish, momentum, in my opinion. There's a lot of wicks to the upside. But if we do break this 4-hour structure, and it's pretty clear to see this 4-hour structure, then we should see a move to the upside, right? Kind of breaking up here. You can see it on the volume profile. We don't even need to make up these levels. This right here. If we break this area, we should head up into this level. And then from there, we could even slide up a little higher into this level. So we're anticipating the dollar to move higher versus lower If it does move lower, if it moves way lower, then I might anticipate this. But if it rejects here and moves up, then I'm going to anticipate this being the spring right here. So I'm going to change this color as well. I want to make this darker so we can actually see what we're drawing. All right, so waiting for the dollar to make a bullish move or a fake out. Pretty simple. Let's look at the euro, which really this is EU, okay? I know I'm looking at the euro futures. It's the same price action as EU. And it's the exact opposite. We're waiting for basically this zone right here, this volume profile to break through. Once it does, we should see a downside push to here or even all the way to here. Very simple. And then at that point, we could maybe assess what it would look like to the upside. But we have a lot of ways to go still. So there's nothing to the upside that's really interesting to me on the euro. Let's try to find a level that it might hit and stop at. So if we go all the way to the left and see where, you know, it might, I think we are sitting, okay, cool. So we're right around here. Okay, so it's actually stopping right at these highs. So we can mark these off. It's stopping right here. But this is the next level of volume that hasn't been tapped. So I'll mark that off. And then let's go to the daily and see if we can get anything else from this area. All right, so this is these equal highs. And you can see there was volume right here. And this is where we're struggling. There's no other volume right here besides this 4 hour up there. So I'm not really gonna, I don't think this 1 hour should matter as much. These are, the 1 hour volume levels that I have are just not as strong. They're good for small day trading opportunities. I don't even think it's gonna bring it back that far. So what I wanna look at is on the weekly, how these candlesticks look. So rejection candlesticks definitely on EU. We're getting an opportunity, I think, soon to look for shorts. I'm not quite sure about it yet, but it's opportunities coming. We got to wait for structure to break. So the structure is on the 1 hour, and if we can get this, basically, if we can get this move to break, this 200 EMA, which it's starting to break. You know that 200 is the big trend. If it can break this, then we should see this head down. And it's already starting to not put in these highs. So that's a sign of weakness. Anyway, the trend really has started to already flip. If we can get an impulse down, though, that will give us a better play. We need a better, kind of better looking setup. The pound is a little bit stronger. Let's go back to the pound. Okay, I think the pound is looking a little bit stronger as it's not putting in those lower lows as much. It has more of a sideways movement. I think we're definitely going to see a pop up, if anything, one more push on the pound. Let's go to the 4 hour. And you can see now to the left a little bit more, there's even more liquidity here. So if this thing breaks these highs, it's going to make a good push. Regardless if it comes back or not, it's most likely going to make a good push because there's a lot of liquidity. I'm waiting for it to reverse because of the divergence. So I'm still trying to be patient on that right there. The buys, this thing could, like I said, it could really take off. I'm not a fan. Here's an area on the 4 hour where it could stop at. And then on the daily, this would be an area. Let's see if there's another spot like that. Nope, way up here. And I do want to point this out as well, because I remember when the market was in an interesting spot and we were saying it could take off. Now I think it's coming back into that. Look how there is literally no volume right here. So the market really could just zip straight through. Or what it will do is it will reject it and go. So it's either that's how these levels work. It only does one or two things. It either literally rejects it hard and quick, or moves straight through it without it looking like it was even there. And you can see on the daily the divergence is present as well. We're flat, but the momentum is not. So that is a good sign for the bears, but we need to see structure as well. Again, or we need to see manipulative move, because this is like a Wyckoff type play with the sign of weakness. Now we're coming up. We need to do an up thrust and then come back down, another sign of weakness. And if we can get this type of schematic to happen, we have a really high probability short coming in this week. But we have to wait, because this thing could really take off to the upside still with how bullish it looks. If it does take off, well, then we're simply waiting for it to reverse. The question will be if we play the breakout or not. But I'm not a fan of breakouts unless it's on like a crypto or indice, really. The Aussie is the strongest out of all three. You can see that, okay, pretty much. Waiting at they're all waiting for, I'm waiting for them to start to break structure on every single thing. If we go to the weekly, this is actually hitting that 200 EMA. It's pushing up with low volume on the weekly, coming into a very important level. So I might as well mark this, because you don't get very close to yearly point of controls very much. Let's see if, there we go, yearly POC right there. And then let's do a daily. And we're getting this rejection, which looks very clean. The price action on the daily looks very clean. But I'm still thinking we have this one more push up to hit that yearly POC. If we do touch that and there is divergence at that time, I think we should take a strike at that, definitely. There's divergence here as well. So it's kind of setting up, the whole market's setting up, just waiting for it, being very patient before it drops. This is a good price action. If we get a move down, the market should definitely, I mean, the area is pretty low, I feel like. So let's go to the 1 hour to kind of find an area where it might stop at first. Okay, it looks like it could slide straight through into this zone. And then from there, we'd have to, if it can slip through there, then we'll look for shorts. Because there's that 200 EMA, and it did it right here one time, and then it wasn't really a good, shorting opportunity. So it could definitely do that again, come back and mess around and come up to this yearly POC one more time. Could definitely do that. So we got to watch and see how this reacts. But because yeah, look how bullish it still is, right? Very, very bullish. It needs to technically break all of this to be bearish. So, but these lower time frames are worth looking at as well while it's in this higher time frame area. The Swiss franc, we were looking at this last week as a possible head and shoulders, and it is starting to look that way to me, that this could start to roll down. Let me look at the weekly. Yeah, we're getting some rejection here on the weekly as well. So everything's lining up for a possible slowdown, at least a correction. We're going to go to the daily, and you can see the momentum divergence is still present. The rising wedge, once it breaks out of this to the downside, we should see some type of a technical pattern like that. Let's go to the 4 hour, and yeah, for me, once this breaks, we have a pretty good technical break of structure, and we could look for this to move to the downside, at least into this area. So, and then down into these areas. And really on these patterns, this is where the target is on the start of the wedge. So I like this idea on the Swiss franc if we can get some breaking of structures. Coming up in here and then taking it down is a possible move, just a little riskier. The yen, interesting. The yen looks a little bit more bullish to me as it is in a little pattern. Let's throw this over here and throw this like this. I'm seeing more of like a bullish flag, bullish pennant right here on this very bullish UJ. Let's go to the weekly and see how this candle looks. First of all, we're coming into a very clean zone. So that's something to note. Candles are not as rejection-y, right? They're just more corrective. Let's go to the daily. Oof, yeah, this is probably going to make a nice, clean move up soon. So watch for the yen pairs to drop this week. Let's go to the 4 hour and see which ways it really could go with profile. Yeah, we're holding strong right here. If it, I even think if it drops, it still could hold. So if this pattern isn't much to me, there's a lot of volume still right here. Let's go ahead and mark this swing off. Yeah, so even if it comes down into the 78.6, I'm still here for it. I still think that that's a possibility for the upside on the yen because it is very bullish looking. It's not just a little bullish. It is looking super bullish. And it's starting to correct now. And we got this 200 EMA right here coming into it. This looks kind of clean. So I'll watch for that this week. I'm definitely going to watch for the yen to pop, which means UJ dropping, GJ dropping, all these guys dropping. Now, at first, this might drop, or it might take the whole week for this to drop. I don't know how long. If that's the case, then we'll see all these things move up. But it could just definitely take off from here. So there's a lot of opportunity coming with the yen, I think, this week. And then the CAD and the New Zealand, we don't care about that, or the ruble, or that. So let's go to the next one. Oil. Oil's been moving pretty nice, or not nice, but it's been moving actually sideways. But I think it might have some opportunity this week coming into this area where it has rejected before. So let's go to the daily, be able to see it a little better, right? Just right in an area where it hasn't wanted to break, and it has started going sideways. It gave a nice supply candle right here. So to me, I think it might start to move down again, just because it's been going so sideways, right? It put in a very nice supply candle on the 4 hours, well, after the bearish divergence. So when we go down to this 1 hour, you know, this is an opportunity I might have to look at this week, even though I'm not the biggest oil trader. If we can get the market to come back up into this, you know, I think that's an opportunity worth taking to the downside. Let's look at not these other oils and stuff. We don't care about that. Aluminum, copper, no. Where's the good stuff? Here we go, S&P. All right, let's do the weekly, and this is kind of interesting. So this guy definitely held at this 200 moving average, and I mean, at this point, it's hard to say it looks bearish. You know, with this weekly candle, we're gonna need to see a complete erase of last week to really have a bearish, super bearish bias. Now, I still think it's possible that this could hold at this swing high, and that this swing high is going to hold, and that this thing is going to roll down again. I still think it's possible, but the possibilities are starting to look a little less likely as, the market just, there's no supply. It's like there's not really demand, but every time the market kind of rallied up, it really like put in some demand signature or supply signatures. It made a rally up here. Supply came in heavy on the move down. It made a rally up here, and then supply came in really heavy. Rally up, supply came in heavy. Now that we've rallied up again, okay, the supply didn't really come in heavy right here. And now where's the supply? Like, why isn't there supply after this pullback? And every time, it comes close to this like 200, comes close to the 200. We came to the 200. There wasn't really any supply. Now we're almost breaking it. So to me, it is showing signs of strength to the upside, and that the possibility of this being the low is starting to look more realistic. But when we go to the 4-hour, I'm seeing the divergence here, big time, and it still is in a fib level that we look at right off the 78.6. So yes, it's either right here, right now, it's about to roll, and I was just a little bit early on saying where's the supply, but in order for it to really roll down, it's gonna need to make a huge move. Like I said, erase last week's candle, which means breaking this whole zone. Okay, if we can break this whole zone, that would be last week's candle, and then we could look for a move like this. Now, what's important is if it does come down here, and then by the end of the week it's up here, well, that's going to look like a weekly wick, and we don't want that. So it's kind of an interesting, weird spot that we're in right now. It's going to have to move very fast on the 1 hour, come up, and move very fast again, basically. And that's going to have to be like the weekly candle. That's how the week's going to have to look. It's going to need to close below this low of last week, because there's also going to be this opportunity right here for the bulls, right? When the market gets into here, we might have to look for buying opportunity just because of how bullish this thing is starting to look, right? You don't want to miss out on that, right? If this thing is really bullish, this is a perfect buying opportunity when the market comes back down into this area. So we got the bears versus the bulls this week on the S&P, and it's going to be interesting to see which one really wins. Now, how I'm going to play, I'll probably look for the buy down there at the 78.6, and then if we get an impulse down right here on the lower time frames that breaks this structure, I'll probably look for the sell down into it. And then for this buy, I'll probably get out faster than I want to, because this thing could ultimately just start to roll. So that's how I'll probably play that this week. And man, yeah, NASDAQ's already breaking that swing high, or almost breaking that swing high. So it is showing the strength. Oh man, so wow, I did not realize that this is the most bullish look I've seen on the indices in a very long time, to be honest. And with it holding this volume level right here, I don't even know if I'm bearish at all anymore. It held this 200-week moving average. There was three-wave divergence. I mean, this is this is so bullish, I think. So what? Hopefully that is like a fake move and it rolls down one more time, because I have been holding all of my money out on waiting for a move down. So, and just really anticipating it still coming into these levels, but yeah, I'm gonna be straight up. This looks too picture perfect for me to be bearish on this. It hit the 61.8, like the golden zone perfectly. People are gonna look, I think we're gonna look back at this and use this in like textbooks. And I don't know if this whole thing is gonna play out, but man, I would trip if it did. But for now, yeah, I think I'm a little bit bullish. I would love for it to come back down into here and then to go up. Here's and we're really at the make or break area, right? On the NASDAQ. Make or break area. Every time we've come into the 200, we fall, we fall, we fall. We got close, we got close. We're here. If it falls, well then by God, we got one more test probably coming down here. But I wouldn't, I don't know. I would even maybe think it would just hold. So let's go down to the 1 hour because you don't know. How I'm going to play this is very similar. This is a lot more bullish, but it would need to kind of make a fast move down. You know, one of those just patterns like that, half a Batman, and then that's probably coming. But I still would look for buys right here, most likely. Let's see what the this one looks like. Good old Dow Jones. On the weekly, this is the one that looks the most bullish. Definitely, because the structure has shifted. It did put in a higher high. So to me, I will be playing this area on a weekly time frame no matter what. I think this 78.6 on the weekly is the best buying opportunity we might see in 2023. So I will be looking for that. Now, look, if I'm wrong, that's cool. There will be another one somewhere down there in this area with the golden fib on the weekly. So let's throw that here. And we got the 61.8 sitting right here with the volume sitting right there. So all that lines up perfectly. If I'm wrong about this, not being the macro bottom or top or whatever, because this could slide through. Hit this. I seriously doubt it hits that, but hits this and then boom. So I'll be watching for that. And now, of course, it won't be that fast. There's going to be a lot of price action in between that, but just for lack of, you know, my artistic skills. Let's go to the freaking daily real quick. And it's interesting because there's still a lot of this imbalance down here. But on these guys that we were looking at just previously, you know, I guess there is still some imbalance down here, which is good for the idea for this to drop. And then this one doesn't have that look to it. You know, this one's, they all really have a different weekly structure to it, and it's not very often that that happens. So it's just very interesting to see what's going to happen with these guys. I've been playing US 30 the most, so I like the opportunity right here that it's giving. If it can break structure, we're going to be looking for this to start to roll. All right, let's go to the 4 hour. And this is last week's low. So we're going to need to break this. I believe this weekly candle is really bullish. So I'm not super duper bullish. The week before was more bearish. So yeah, this is if one of them is going to fall, we're going to be paying attention on this one to fall. And that, I think, is the end of the analysis. We've talked about the VIX so much. We're just waiting at this level. If it pops, actually, this is very interesting. So the VIX is in a level where, you know, I'm low-key actually thinking it could pop from here, which is going to send the indices down. So we're going to be watching for that. If it doesn't hold here, we have another leg up on the indices, and we'll reassess the VIX from this level. Gold. Oh yeah, we didn't speak about gold. So let me just talk about gold real quick because it's in a macro spot. It's in a macro spot. Ooh, looks like it gapped up. But on the weekly last week, it left a interesting candlestick. So I'm looking for some type of down move on gold this week. If we can get this break of structure, let's go to the daily. And it's not showing that right now. But on the 4 hour, man, did it really gap up like that? That's wild. Where if it comes into the 78.6, it's definitely opportunity to strike, especially with all the divergence that we're getting. But maybe just wait for like the 15-minute diverge as well, because we have the pattern, everything. Let's go to the 1 hour, and that gap is wild. So yeah, if it does come up into the 78.6 before filling this gap, that is literally the biggest fake out ever. So we're gonna have to watch to see how gold's volume looks as it rises, or if it comes down, we're gonna need to wait for it to break this structure. It's really not easy to play the market when it's sideways, because obviously it's annoying, but when the market goes sideways, all we have to do is wait for that structure to break. Either way. And you're either going to be right fast or wrong fast, because if we're wrong about this, it's going to do this, whoop, and then just take off. If that's the case, well, then we'll play one more. So we'll try again. And if it does this, whoop, and it breaks, and it stops us out on this, well, then we'll try again right here. And there's no way you're going to lose 3 in a row. It's just, there is a way, but it doesn't happen much. All right, and then silver needs to confirm with this to drop. So this is looking good. Silver's still in this distribution. Okay, so as long as silver stays in this perfect little rainbow and then drops out, we're looking good on gold. Bitcoin. Ooh, I just like skipped over Bitcoin because it is just rocking and rolling. I was like, the analysis is over, psych. We got 2 more hours. Just kidding. So Bitcoin on the futures chart is starting to give it away. Now, it's either doing one or two things. This demand is really pumping in, or it's what I see, and it's kind of interesting. What I see is that, and I'll have to look at the lower time frames to see how that confirms, but we get a high volume on this saying that, yeah, we're probably going higher. Then we get this candle's smaller than this one, but it has more volume. So that's interesting. And then this is the smallest of the 3, but it has the most volume. So that's very interesting. We are now gapped above this 200 moving average on the weekly, so it doesn't really go below that much. I know in other charts it doesn't, at least. Let's go to the daily, and we're right at it on the daily. So to me, Bitcoin's in that same type of area that the other indices are in, right? They're just right there in that spot. But one thing about Bitcoin, guys, and you know, I might have missed the buying opportunity. I might have deleted that order too soon that I called out. But one thing about Bitcoin is that if it does break any freaking higher, guys, in close, we're going to see a rocket ship to 28. A legit rocket ship to close this gap. And it'll be a candle just like this. So we can come back and look at this when this happens, if this happens. I hope we get a move to the downside. I hope it holds here, because on the lower time frames, and I'm talking like the 1 hour or even lower maybe, it has somewhat of a distribution pattern. You can see it better on like Coinbase charts or another chart, but you can really see this divergence is super present right now, and you do not usually get that much divergence ever. So once the structure on this breaks, we should see a big move to the downside. I mean, the divergence is on heavy on multiple time frames. So we're starting to really see, in this, like I said, just because there's divergence, guys, doesn't mean that it's going to fall. It just gives me an edge to not really want to buy it anymore. That's why I deleted that one order, which was this. So it would have been in major profits. Right, on that spike down, we called the buy, or we had a limit order, but I told everyone to delete it, and now it's all the way up here, right? So it could rocket ship, no freaking doubt. But I'm waiting for it to chill out and give me an opportunity for the downside move. So really, if it could just break through these, I will look for this level to hold more than this next move up to get hit. And then Ethereum's already breaking this high too, so that's not good. Yeah, more than likely, guys, these things are going to make another push up. And it is just the momentum of these things are crazy. When they get going, they get going. I really try to day trade these more than like anything else. So for me, it's you got to be really accurate when you're day trading these cryptos. Let's go to the I'm gonna go to the freaking daily. And see, I don't care for the volume right here. It's not really special. Nothing is special right here. I can see maybe a little bit of demand picked up right here. So that is kind of something to watch. We did say this whole time that this might have been a possible bottom on Ethereum, and it held here at the 78.6, and now it's starting to push. So it very well, you know, with it kind of not really breaking this structure, but definitely this, it could come in and do something like that, no doubt. But since we're in supply, guys, it's just picture. It's a clear picture. It's in supply. We're waiting for it to drop. Let's go to the 4 hour. If it breaks through here, it's gonna freaking rocket ship. I'm talking just like Bitcoin. But for now, I'm expecting maybe this to hold, and we're looking at just this correction pattern inside of this. You can see it's done this before. Here, here, in a bigger scale. Here, smaller scale. Here, okay, here. So it's done this before. We're getting it again. Once it breaks, it makes a pretty decent move. So we'll be waiting for the break, and it should come down all the way to 13.25 if it breaks. Now, let's talk about if it doesn't break and it goes to upside. The upside on this one is way more than Bitcoin. It can almost double. I'll just leave that there. All right, guys, that's it for tonight, for the chart talk tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m., same time, checking in on some of these. We're going to be probably looking at some more forex pairs. This is what I like to do. I like to look at the overall stuff, right? So I know like GJ, right? We didn't look at GJ, but with me knowing that the yen could either, you know, I said the yen could go up, but it might come down first. So I really, you don't know what's going to happen, but if the yen starts to do this and then holds here, and then GJ is in a supply area at this point, and then say that the pound does a fake move up. So let's go to the pound. And look what we said on the pound. Is it gonna give me that? There we go. Okay, so the pound, right? If we get this move on the pound, where we get a fake move up, and then it starts to drop, okay, well, this is gonna give us the best opportunity on GJ, because that means that GJ, or if GJ is in a supply area at the time, because that means the pound will be dropping and the yen will be moving up, and that will make GJ die. Okay, I'm not talking just it will die. So we're waiting on that type of stuff, right? If the let's just say the another pair like the Aussie, if this starts to really move and break this structure, okay, well, we don't have to just trade AU. We can go look at some of the other pairs and match them against. Like if the yen starts to move up and this moves down, well, then we'll really want to focus on AJ more, right? So that's just how I analyze things. I look at the futures market and I look at the volume that the futures market is giving me to give me better data on these forex pairs. So I said I was gonna check the chat. I didn't check it freaking once. So let me just look. I don't usually get a whole bunch in the chat anyway, because your boy's just too cold-blooded for that. And nothing in the chat, so we're good. All right, y'all. Hope y'all have a good one. Take care.